I'm Priscilla Teeter, and I've lived at Carroll County Village for 3 years. May the 23rd was my move-in date. I was originally from Cecil County, Maryland, at the top of the Chesapeake Bay, and lived there till I was 3. And then my father became employed with the Tennessee Valley Authority, the TVA, during about 1932-33. So we began moving all through the South from one dam to another dam. He was an electrical engineer. So went to college 2 years in Virginia, then transferred to John Hopkins University and nursing school and got my bachelor's. Was married 43 years when my husband died very, very, very suddenly. And we have 3 children and 4 grandchildren.
And how did you come to be in Carroll County?
Through marriage. When I was at Hopkins, I met my husband, and we moved here.
And was he from Carroll County?
Tawnytown. One of the businesses of the family was farming, and he graduated from Gettysburg College and decided he would be the farmer in the family. He was the last of 8 children.
Wow.
Everyone else had gone off to do their thing, and so with an aged mother, he decided he would work in the farming business till that was sold, and then he became employed with the stone crushing operation that the family owned.
I see.
So
did you stay on the family's farm?
For 6 years. I became a farmer's wife and had never been on a farm before to live.
So what was your first impression of Carroll County compared to other places you had been?
Oh, absolutely gorgeous compared to Tennessee, with the red clay and the heat, the intense heat, the beauty of the rolling hills, and I mean there were hills in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Lookout Mountain and whatnot, but as far as gently rolling farmland, this was just heaven on earth, just beautiful.
And so what was Tawnytown like? Did it have much going on?
Well, there was one theater, and because my husband got up in the morning at 2:30 to milk cows, he would be asleep on my shoulder by 7 o'clock at night and miss the movie. So farming life was very, very difficult for me because I had never had that experience before. And the family was a very close family. And they had hunter-jumper horses, and they all graduated from Tawnytown High School. The earliest members of the family commuted from Cump Station, railroad station, by train into Tawnytown to school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then what, would they walk the rest of the way to the school?
Well, from the railroad station, it was only about 2 blocks to the Tawnytown High School.
Oh, that's neat.
So it was a very different life. I remember coming back from my honeymoon and looking out, and there was nothing out there but a barn light at the end of the lane. And I had been 5 years at Hopkins, so I was right at the corner of Mulberry and Broadway, where the big buses would come up, and the noise and the traffic and the big city life. So it was quite an adjustment.
Yeah, a little culture shock. Were you real isolated? Did you see neighbors or just mainly family?
Family, mostly family.
And so what'd you do for...
And that was hard too, because they were all so much older. His sister was old enough to be his mother, and he being the youngest of the children, his being the youngest of the children. And so recreation and centered around family activities mostly.
What about hospitals, medical services, things like that?
Well, 2 of my children were born in Gettysburg Hospital, and then Jennifer, my youngest one, was born at Women's Hospital in Baltimore. 2-lane highway, foggy night, and we were pulled over by a cop going down to Baltimore as fast as we could go. But
did you have a local doctor in town?
There was Dr. McVaugh, who was a general practitioner.
What about services like clothing stores and food stores? I guess you were on the farm.
Doherty's grocery store, I remember one gas station. There was a Dr. Benner, Benner, who had a place on Main Street. There was a barber shop, a bakery, Baumgardner's Bakery. There was a 5 and 10 cent store. There was the feed store and mill. And probably a lot of other places that I didn't frequent because I didn't need to. But those were the places that I would have gone.
Right.
And the post office. We did have rural delivery. Basil Crabster was our mailman. And but I have to tell a funny story because I occasionally from Hopkins would come up by bus. And if my husband wasn't available to come pick me up, I would stay with Mam Klingon, Mrs. Klingon, whose husband owned the barber shop, and she was a very close family friend. And her husband actually had married my husband's oldest sister. So I would sit in her bay window, and she would feed me warm tapioca pudding, and while I waited for my ride out to the farm to visit for the weekend or whatever. And my mother, after I was married, would come from Tennessee to visit us at Christmas time and then once in the summer. So I had a telephone call from Mrs. Klingon one day after my mother had left. And she said, "I thought you'd be interested to know, Priscilla, that your mother arrived in Knoxville." All right, she flew back. And I said, "Oh, Miss Klingon, how do you know that?" She said, "Well, I was over at the post office, and I just happened to see the postcard in your box."
And so everyone knew everything.
That was typical of the small town life then.
Now, you showed me a book that you have. How did your family come to be in this publication?
Well, it's a book about farm life in Carroll County. Lindy McNulty just put it together. It's sold through the Historical Society, or Lindy, of course. But there's about 5 pictures of the Teeter family and their life on the farm.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
And a lot of other farm families, too, of course. But,
right. So after your husband got out of farming, he got into
the stone crushing business with the family, the other business of the family. And so we had to leave the farm since it was sold. And we had a dispersal of something like 126 Holsteins and all the farm equipment and everything. So we had to leave, which meant we needed to find a house to live. And so we bought a house between Westminster and New Windsor, which was sitting right on top of the John Hyde Quarry and the Medford Quarry that the Teeter Stone had opened up.
And how did those areas compare to where you had been in Tawnytown?
We were in a valley. There was a wonderful stream across the road from us. The kids played in that stream. We dammed it up, and they made a mudslide on the hill, on the bank, you know, big trees they climbed in. And we had picnics out there, and there was woods in back of us, and they played in the woods, and with a lot of imaginative play because there was a dollhouse in the yard. So if my son had a friend in, they were cops and robbers, and if my daughter had someone in, they were playing dress up with the clothes out in the dollhouse.
Now, your neighbors were probably closer there than they had been on the farm?
Not necessarily. We had one family that was closer, but they were older. Mary and Miller Richardson were there, and Aggie and Archie Allgaier. And then the Fritzes lived down the road. We got eggs from Mrs. Fritz. The children would pull my youngest daughter in a little red wagon down because there was very little traffic on that road. It was a 2-lane highway. Of course, that was before Route 31 went to New Windsor. You know, the major road.
Right.
And
how did the kids get to school then?
we commuted into Tawnytown, into Westminster. I was able to get some dispensation for that, and we bought carpooled with another family into Westminster schools. Although we were in the New Windsor district.
Now that you were going into Westminster more, was there more activities available?
Oh yes, schools were larger. And as a matter of fact, the first year I think that we lived between Westminster and New Windsor, the high school in New Windsor was not even college accredited. So if I could get my children into Westminster, I wanted to. And as long as we commuted with them, took them.
Right.
And they allowed us to do that.
Oh, that was good. Yeah. So how would you describe Carroll County to someone who's never been here?
15 years ago, I would have said it was heaven on earth. I think
now it's grown up a little bit.
Yes. The traffic is such that even going to the grocery store, I don't have to go at any particular time of the day, so I choose 10 o'clock in the morning because I don't find as much traffic at that time, or the stores is crowded. But in another way, to see the development of the Historical Society and opening of the Hoffman House again and its renovation, the Arts Council taking over the old Carroll Theater and making it into a show place and has just brought people back into the center of town again. There's just, the new fire hall and just state of the art, the Carroll Community College and its growth with the new nursing unit, and now they're building another science center, and just children who might otherwise not get to college are having a wonderful foundation there. Just Faye Papalardo has just done a wonderful job. No, that's not, yes. And our Vo-Tech school, gives children who are good with their hands a chance to really fly. So many people today aren't artistic or, well, that's not the word I need to say, can't develop things with their hands. They're not that creative. But this really gives people who are good thinkers and mechanics, people who do the good things with woodworking and plumbing and nursing.
Yeah, we have a lot available to us here, I think.
We really do.
All different venues. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your memories and for sticking around in Carroll County.
It's been my pleasure.